What is up, guys? Welcome on back to the channel. Backdraft Lure Company, firefighter owned and operated, high quality tournament proven fishing tackle, handmade right here in America. www.backdraftlures.com. So as y'all can see, I'm sitting at the kitchen table when I promise you I would much rather be out on the lake fishing. But it has been it's been raining for days now. I mean, dang near a fortnight it's been raining, and I'm talking monsoon rains. So it is just a wet, nasty mess out there, and prospects for fishing have not been good here in the past week or so. In addition to that, had a lot of training stuff going on at the fire hall, so I haven't had a good day to go out there on the lake and actually go fishing. So I've been bored at home. And but that's okay, because it has kind of given me a chance to tackle some of the projects that I've been meaning to do, and this is one of them. So welcome to Tackle Tip Tuesday. So I'm sure at one time or another you guys have been scrolling through social media, or it pops up in your searches or something like that, something to the effect of like life hacks, or, you know, to get more specific, you know, like kitchen hacks or garage hacks or something like that. Little tips and tricks that people offer up. I mean, I guess to just make life easier, you know, make little tasks, you know, go easier, stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea behind Tackle Tip Tuesday, is basically fishing hacks. You know, I when I go fishing, I mean, I'll just say this. I'm a firefighter, okay? And you definitely don't get into firefighting for the money. So lots of times I'm on a budget, okay? You know, maybe I need to modify a lure, or I need to modify a piece of equipment. But just anything that makes my day on the water a little bit more efficient and a little bit more enjoyable. That's where the idea for this came from. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only person to ever put, you know, something like this on YouTube, but this is what we're going to do. Like I said, I'm stuck inside. I got nothing else to do. So, you know, might as well make the best use of my time. So, on today's tackle tip, we're going to talk about a little trick for fishing prop baits. You with me so far? Let's get into it. So like any fisherman, I love fishing topwater baits, okay? There is just, I mean, there's nothing like dragging a frog or dragging a buzzbait across a flat or grass or something like that, and just that huge blow up, man. I mean that heart pounding, heart stopping action, man, is just awesome. But I like, and I think these lures are kind of underutilized sometimes, but I like fishing prop baits. You know, topwater prop on each end, right? Like this, like this Bagley. This is a Sunny Bee Pro Twin Spin, I think they call it. But anyway, very cool lure. I love fishing that thing, and I like to go old school sometimes too. You know, and even fish the old Smithwick Devil Horse. Man, like I said, often underutilized, often forgot about, but a fantastic lure that'll get you bites sometimes when nothing else will. That being said, about 95% of my topwater I fish on braid, okay? And if you fish prop baits on braid, then you know exactly where I'm going with this, okay? Okay, when you're fishing prop baits, very rarely are you ever going to use a steady straight retrieve. Oh, well, okay, and let's back up. I say rarely, and like, you know, some prop baits are actually designed to be fished that way, but most are not, okay? Now with a topwater prop bait, you're either going to do like a pop or a jerk, or even like a long pull. Okay, basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get those props to work and spit up some water. What you're trying to mimic is a bait fish busting the surface. So you want to use those long pulls and those jerks to set those props in motion and to spit up water, okay? Now there again, If you fish prop baits on braid, then you know exactly what I'm fixing to show you. So when you're fishing on braid, that braid floats, okay? And when you're using that jerk retrieve or that long pull retrieve, you stop, okay? And that bait is going to be stationary for a minute. Well, what happens is that braid floats and it gets up and it'll float up around that prop. Well, the next time you go to retrieve, let me show you. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but yeah, what happens is that braid gets wrapped around that prop, okay? Give me just a second, I'll show you a close-up of that, okay? Again, I don't know how good you guys can see this, but yeah, there's your close-up of what happens when your braid gets caught in your prop. I mean, yeah, I'm filming this on a GoPro, so you probably can't see it all that well. But anyway, I didn't plan this that way. I didn't wrap that around just for demonstration purposes. This is exactly how I cut it off. Okay, so you can see what happens. Okay, one of the ways you can combat that braid getting into the prop is you can tie a topwater loop knot. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. I don't know if there's like a specific name for it, but like I said, I just call it the topwater loop knot. And this one's actually not that great. It's a little too far away from the hook eye, but you tie that loop knot, and like this is something you would tie on like a spook or a walking bait or something like that. It just gives it more action in the water. If you tied it a little closer, you would have a little more play in that. If you tied it this far out, it's going to get wrapped up in the prop. But I mean, like, you get the idea though. Anyway, I'll give you a close up of that in a second. But that's one way you can stop that braid of getting into that prop right there. There's your close up of your topwater loop knot. Like, I mean, as the name would suggest, there's a loop. There's a loop between your lure, okay, and your knot. Now, like I said, like in normal circumstances, that would be a little bit shorter, probably about right here. And you can see the obvious issue with this. If the braid floats up, it can still get wrapped around that prop. And if you get that loop wrapped around that prop, there's probably no getting that out. If it gets tight enough, you're just gonna have to cut it off and start over. But that loop knot, like I said, I use that on like my poppers, my spooks and stuff like that, because if it's a walking bait or something like that, it just lets it move. Okay, it lets it do its thing. But on a prop bait, like I said, that is one thing you can do to if you tie it right, that is one thing you can do to actually prevent that braid from floating up into that prop. Okay, so let me show you the technique that I use. What you want to do is get yourself some sinker stops or weight pegs, whatever you want to call them. Okay, take your line. Oop, hang on, let me find my line. Anyway, you take your line. Okay, get you a couple of these pegs on here. Just like that. Obviously, I will show you guys a close-up of this. Okay. There you got your two sinker pegs, or your sinker stops, whatever you want to call them on there. And then on your other end here, you just go ahead and tie your lure on. Okay, here's the close-up of what I'm talking about. Like I said, you got your sinker stops or your weight pegs, whatever it is, whatever you want to call them. You just take and thread a couple of those on there. Just like that, okay? And then you tie your lure to the other end. And that right there, if you can see that clearly, is what the finished product looks like. So what you're doing is you're just adding a little bit of rigidity up here, okay? You're just giving a little bit of extra room so that braid doesn't float around, okay? So what that does is it gives you just a little bit of extra extra swing right there. So if that braid does go to floating, you know, it's going to have a much harder time getting into that prop, especially if, you know, if you're on a forward movement, it's going to keep going forward, and that braid is, you know, is a whole lot less likely to, you know, to get up into that prop and cause you problems. Now you can probably use 3 here if you wanted to. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't use any more than 3 of these sinker stops, because at some point you're going to cause your braid to start sinking. I mean, these are rubber sinker stops, so they are fairly buoyant, but and like I said, in my experience, I've always used 2 of them. I've never had to use 3, and it works perfectly fine. And you can move them up and down as you need to. Okay, I mean, like, you can separate them, and you're gonna get a whole lot more room right there. All right, cool trick, huh? Well, guys and gals, there you have it. Easy peasy. You know, just a cool little trick to, you know, I mean, just to avoid some frustration. You know, if you're fishing prop baits with braided line. Well, guys and gals, I do hope you enjoyed this this first ever Tackle Tip Tuesday video. I enjoyed making it. You know, like I said, stuck in the house, got nothing else to do. Figured I would start a whole new series of things. I would like to say that I'm going to get one of these out every week, although I cannot promise that. I will try my best, though, to get those out pretty frequently. Maybe not every week, but at least twice a month. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So please do me a favor, like this video and comment on it. If you have questions, or if you think I've missed something, definitely comment. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. That's all for today. We'll see you guys on the next one.